Hello, and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today, I'm going to do a fast and loose imaginary snow scene in watercolor. I'm jumping right into it after doing a quick beginner video. I literally just flipped my paper over and just wet it, and we're going to jump in. So, once again, it's a quarter sheet Stonehenge, 90-pound white paper, 100% cotton. It's going to be a snow scene, but this time I'm going to try to go more Andrew Wyeth-y. I'm going to grab burnt umber. Let's go Payne's Gray. Ultramarine. I just have a few pigments out, so we'll just grab these. We're going to go wet and wet. I'm going to do a high horizon. We're going to really just kind of explore and let things happen. Now, after watching a few Andrew Wyeth documentaries, I learned that a lot of his stuff was egg tempera, which apparently gives a drier, chalkier, more textured look than watercolor, which is interesting. But apparently you have to have special prepared ground for it, which I did not know. I'm not trying egg tempera. Maybe down the line I'll try it, but I don't have the dry pigments. But it is very cool, and his paintings are absolutely fantastic. Let's see. I'm gonna kind of wipe back, but I want it to be a little dirty in a sense. So in the last video, it was more Ron Ransony. This would be more of the way I approach watercolors, which is more inspired by the tonalist painters Stuart Davies, Dennis Sheehan. Kind of a little bit similar to Mind of Watercolor's spontaneous paintings. But I did see in an Andrew Wyeth documentary that he would go pretty haphazardly with his initial wash, and then from there dry brush over it. It was pretty much an interview of him. I'm not sure when it was filmed. He passed in 2009, I believe it said, the Wikipedia. Let's see. I'm liking this effect more than the previous, mainly because it has the more moody, dreary feeling to it. Let's do a water coming down here. Now in the last one I used white as the white of the paper as the snow, and I think I'll do that again. But I think that means I'm going to darken my water. I want to see what happens here if I take this stream and see if it becomes a path or if it stays as a waterway. Pull that back up there. I think that works. Makes it more of a river than a stream if this winds up reading as a tree. There we go. Just gonna put some ultramarine in there. Payne's Gray around this edge. into the water. I think somewhere out of here I'll have a tree grow right about here. Just kind of marking that off. That growth out of the ground, out of the snow. Pushing that down. I did remark in the previous video that for some reason the 90-pound white paper is harder to flatten than the other 90-pound papers. I'm not sure why that is. Bring up some other trees along this ridge that started happening. I can even take the number 1 rigger and pull some of that pigment around. Now in the previous video, my background softened a lot more than I had planned to. I don't really do the snowy scenes that often. But I do like the separation of the brown and then coming forward into the Payne's gray and the ultramarine blue. But I know that that's going to soften quite a bit too. So, drop my rigger brush. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to do a dry off. We're going to see how this lightens. I want to try to save some of that granulation in there, but that's what I'm watching out for. All right, some areas are a little damp, but I'm quite pleased with the textures that we're getting, and we didn't really shift too much tonally. In the last video, I took the hake to build up the tree. I think that's what I'm going to use again this time. Let's grab some Payne's gray, burnt umber, raw sienna, just mixing a glob of browns and darks. I think I want my tree to come from here. So this is a very Ron Ranson approach to building up the tree. Zoltan Szabo would have marked this off and left it wet and wet. No, left it dry to paint in. Who else? Stuart Davies with the oils would push around at the beginning and use the paper towel to texture it. I would say David Usher would probably take this approach. Stephen Cronin. Probably even start like doing directional strokes to try to round out this trunk and give it volume. This is some Payne's gray. The up and the down to create it, and then a little bit of reflection. That's I think I saw a lot of that in David Usher videos. There's our grass coming up through. I catch a little bit in that water. see, let me switch to something else so I can feed in. I'm gonna grab some of the wet wash to put in lighter branches coming off of this tree. I think it's Zoltan Szabo that always kind of influenced those little dots that I put in. I think he was one of the first books I ever got on watercolor. I have a few of his. I have quite a few books from James Fletcher Watson, but I don't know if he ever, I have to flip through them and see what he's got tree-wise. On the Thanksgiving break, so I'm able to relax and have time to do that, but I've been just dealing with sinus stuff. They've been burning the fields, and we had temperature changes. That's just been knocking me out. But with all my allergy medicine, it's helped prevent me from getting the full-blown kind of fever type sinus deal. I always like a secondary tree coming off. I think that came from Zoltan Szabo. The Chinese brush painting always has that kind of secondary tree as well. Stuart Davies' example of a Andrew Wyeth had secondary trees. Just seems like the one tree alone always needs kind of a lesser companion within it. I'm not sure why that works compositionally. But even we could do a line of trees right here. In fact, let's bring that to that edge and just try to stay random with these twigs. In fact, let's see if I can get the hake. Just do a little kind of patterning in here. That was a question that I asked Stuart. Somebody had posted a Van Gogh tree drawing, and I saw those the hatching and the cross hatching that Van Gogh had used. It didn't like pop out right away, and then I saw that and I was like, how can I use that in painting? And I asked Stuart Davies, and he had said, the answer would be kind of a crusty old brush. You're just getting that texture in there. I think it adds a lot more to the scene. I think putting in that water in that fashion and leaving the ground with the whites makes it a lot more interesting. So let me do a dry off. I think we'll leave this as this. I'm going to sign it. As always, you're always welcome to follow along. Anything you do when you follow along, you're more than welcome to sign your own name to it and sell anything that you follow along and paint from any of my videos. I want you guys to have fun and have money for art supplies. And if you would like, please like, subscribe, follow. That helps this channel out. And I have the Patreon down below if you want to support. And thank you to everybody that supports on the Patreon. That helps pay for materials and run all these different videos and experiments. So, hope you enjoyed. That was only not even 15 minutes. Hope you enjoyed, and y'all take care and have a great winter. Stay safe.